A truly deranged and humiliating Oval Office press conference by Donald Trump just wrapped up. And folks, you know I cover a lot of these. This was one of the most deranged I've ever seen yet. Donald Trump was signing executive orders. He also brought in wounded veterans to basically use as like props in the Oval Office. It was just really strange to watch this. Donald Trump turns to a wounded soldier who no longer has legs, and Donald Trump said, "So you got hit, huh? Pretty good." Here, play this clip.
And we all served together.
Wow.
And Jared over there.
And Jared.
So you guys got hit, huh? Pretty good. You got hit.
Pretty good.
Amazing.
We're in a pretty tough area in Kandahar, in the Arkansas River Valley, right outside Kandahar.
Their unit had a more than 50% Purple Heart rate, sir.
Wow.
In 2010.
You deserve it. You deserve that and more. We appreciate it so much. Brave, really brave, brilliant people. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
What in the world? Then Donald Trump, in signing this executive order that had nothing to do with the veterans that were there, but the executive order was an attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion in universities. Donald Trump is signing the executive order, and he goes, "We've been in that jungle a long time." Play this clip.
We want to focus on results. We want to focus on actual fairness. We want to focus on merit, not things like disparate impact theory and the whole sort of diversity, equity, and inclusion cult.
It's getting out of that, huh?
Yes, sir.
After being in that jungle for a long time.
Then Donald Trump hands to the wounded veterans coins that he's giving them from the White House, and he tells the wounded veterans that the veterans like the black one, he said. He goes, "Look, you'll probably like the black one." Here, play this clip.
And I'm going to give you these coins, and I think you're going to really like them. I think they're the best. These are the best coins. And you have your choice. This is gunmetal. I don't know, soldiers like the black, but I think you like this one. It's okay. A lot of soldiers like the black. Here you go. What do you like?
I'll go with black.
Huh? See? I told you. These are choices.
I'll take a black one, sir.
Okay, look at this. Oh, that's rare.
Donald Trump is then asked a question about tourism and the fact that massive amounts of tourism have dropped to the United States. As countries are boycotting tourism or fear they'll be sent to detention centers. Donald Trump said, "I guess maybe there's a little nationalism there." And then Donald Trump said, though, that he's surprised that people don't want to come. He said, because now the dollar is so weak that maybe it's a good thing to come because what, Trump destroyed the dollar? Play this clip.
On tourism, there's been a steep drop-off in international travel to the United States. It was down 12% last month, down even more from Western Europe. Why do you think that there are fewer people suddenly who want to travel to the United States?
Well, there could be a little, there's a little nationalism there, I guess, perhaps. It's not a big deal, but, with the dollar being where it is, because China would always fight for having a low dollar. Japan would always fight for having a low dollar, meaning a low yen, or in the case of China, the yuan. They'd always want to have, I'd speak to President Xi a lot. I'd say it's unfair that your yuan is so low. I'd call up a great man, Prime Minister Abe, great man, Shinzo, who was unfortunately assassinated. And I used to tell you, he was a good friend of mine, I used to say, "Shinzo, you can't let your yen go down. It makes it very hard for us to sell tractors. It makes it very hard to us to get tourism. And our dollar is a little bit on the low side. And that means that a lot of tourism is going to come in. But I could see a little bit nationalism at work. And I can see it likewise with us, not wanting to go to certain countries, but that will work out very easily."
Do you think some people are...
Donald Trump says that he doesn't support taxing millionaires because millionaires would leave the country. Play this clip.
And then secondly, would you support a millionaire tax?
I think it would be very disruptive because a lot of the millionaires would leave the country. In the old days, they left states. They go from one state to the other. Now with transportation so quick and so easy, they leave countries. You'll lose a lot of money if you do that. And other countries that have done it have lost a lot of people, they lose their wealthy people. That would be bad because the wealthy people pay the tax. Okay?
He then goes on an attack against Canada one more time, referring to it as the 51st state and how it would be a great part of the United States if he conquered it and took it over. Here, play this clip.
Asked Trudeau, who I call Governor Trudeau affectionately, but I asked him, why are we spending $200 billion to support Canada, to subsidize Canada? And he was unable to answer the question. I mean, why are we doing that? And I have to be honest, as a state, it works great. As a nation, considering the fact that most of the nation, 95% of Canada, what they do is they buy from us and they sell to us. They sell to us. If we didn't buy their oil, and we don't need their oil. We have more oil than anyone, but we don't need their oil. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their cars. We don't need anything. So I said, why are we doing this? Why are we spending $200 billion? It doesn't make sense. If we need it.
Then Donald Trump goes on this bizarre tirade about how sports teams should be named after Native Americans. And he says it's discriminatory to Native Americans that we're not naming sports teams after Native Americans. Play this clip.
That team, they're called the Chiefs. And frankly, I see nothing wrong with it. They call them the Warriors, and not that team, but a lot of other teams, and all of these Indian surnames and different names. And I'm saying that I think that's a positive thing. And when you go back to Indians, they told us they don't know why these names are being taken off. They're trying to. I think it's degrading to the Indian population, and it's a great.
Donald Trump is then asked about the 145% tariffs harming small businesses. And if he's worried about that, he says, nope, not worried. Play this clip.
And I think most of them will. And I think we're going to treat them very fairly.
Were you worried about what the 145% tariffs were doing to small businesses here in the U.S.? Is that why you're bringing it down?
No. I haven't brought it down. I haven't brought it still 145. I haven't brought it down. I said it's a high tariff. It is a high tariff, but I haven't brought it down. It basically means China's not doing any business with us, essentially, because it's a very high number. So when you add that to the price of a product, a lot of those products aren't going to sell. But China's not doing any business. They were doing $1.1 trillion. Think of that, $1.1 trillion. You know what that is? And it was just very unfair to us. And we were doing relatively very little with them. It was very one-sided. But we get along. I get along very well with President Xi, and I hope we can make a deal. Otherwise, we'll set a price, and hopefully they'll come here and they'll contribute. And if they don't, that's okay.
Donald Trump is then asked about a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia. And then Donald Trump's asked also if he will recognize Russia's occupation of Ukraine. Donald Trump's response is that he has no favorites. Play this clip.
If I may, this deal that you have with Russia, does it include recognizing Russia's sovereignty over Crimea?
Well, everything is good. I just want to see the war end. I don't care. If they're both happy, they both sign an agreement. I have no favorites. I don't want to have any favorites. I want to have a deal. And
folks, as Donald Trump was saying that, we learned of a horrific attack on Kyiv. What we're learning right now, as of this recording, at least 6 ballistic missiles and 6 cruise missiles have attacked Kyiv so far from Russia, plus an undisclosed number of Iranian, Russian Shahed drones. More are incoming right now as I am reporting on this. There's expected to be a lot of casualties, but for Donald Trump, he has no favorites, although it seems pretty obvious that he does have favorites and who it is also, since he's asking Ukraine to basically give up everything and he's asking for literally no concessions from Russia. Donald Trump is then asked the next question about, he's given this executive order on university accreditation. Here's what he says. Play this clip.
Will we look into the past people that they've taken? For instance, I hear all about certain great schools, and then we read where they're going to teach people basic math that we can all do very easily, but they can't do. They're, going to the top school, and they come out with a program of teaching basic math to somebody that got into a Harvard or a Princeton or a Yale. Is that part of this?
When universities are not performing appropriately, whether that's in admissions or whether that's in their actual instructional activities, that's certainly something that accreditors should be considering, that right now we believe they're not doing a good enough job of. And I think Secretary McMahon could probably speak to that better than I could.
So they're allowing people into school that can't do math, and yet kids who've worked really hard and number one in their class in a high school someplace in New Jersey or in Mississippi, they can't get into the best schools. What is that all about?
Yeah, and I think that gets to your policy, sir, of meritocracy.
Trump then backtracks what he says yesterday about bringing the tariffs down against China soon. Donald Trump says they've got to make the first move. It depends on them. Let's play it.
Any questions of the guys here?
I want to say thank you to the veterans who are here. Thank you so much for defending us. And then I wanted to ask you, Mr. President, because you said you want to bring the tariffs on China down soon. How soon do you want to bring the tariffs on Chinese goods?
Well, that depends on them. We have a situation where we have a very, very great place. It's called the United States of America, and it's been ripped off for years and years. These people know it. We talked about it before you came in. We've been ripped off by every country in the world, practically, and friend and foe. And we're not doing that anymore. So what's happened is Howard, how many countries have we spoken to already? 90. And they all want to make deals, and we're going to make deals, but they're going to be fair deals. They're not going to be rip-off deals. And
then Trump attacks the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, once again. Play this clip.
Months of inflation being down, all economic theory you learned in the 8th grade says it's time to cut rates when inflation is down.
Right.
He's not done that. Have you had any direct conversation with him?
No, I haven't. I haven't called him. I might call him. I haven't called him, but I believe he's making a mistake by not lowering interest rates. And I think as well as we're doing, we'd do much better. He's keeping rates too high. He historically has been late, except when it came to Biden. He was recommended by a certain person that I'm not particularly happy with, but he will hopefully do the right thing. The right thing is to lower interest rates. So we'll see what happens. I think we're sitting on something that's going to be very good with all the tariff money starting to come in. Our country's going to be doing really well, and hopefully we don't have inflation.
Yeah, folks, this is like an unmitigated disaster, this press conference right here. He then talks about Elon Musk, and he thinks it's unfair. He said that Elon Musk's company, Tesla, as Donald Trump calls it, is getting destroyed right now. Play this clip.
I also know that he was treated very unfairly by I guess you'd call it the public, by some of the public, not by all of it. So he makes an incredible car, everything he does is good. But they took it out on Tesla. And I just thought it was so unfair because he's trying to help the country. But he has helped the country. I also want him to make sure that he's going to be in great shape. And I know he is. I mean, he's going to do great. He loves the country. He didn't need to do this.
This was a completely unhinged press conference in the Oval Office. We'll keep you posted every step of the way here on the MeidasTouch Network. And as soon as we find more about what's happened in Kyiv, we'll keep you posted there as well. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.meidastouch.com. All 100% USA Union made.